Hey everybody, Jenny Tooley here. How are you doing today? Okay, I'm so excited because I have a very special guest today, and I have cookies. And you know how I love to eat. So I've got cookies that are also gluten-free, which is incredible, and many of them are vegan. So actually, before I keep talking my head off, let's go ahead and have our guest introduce herself.
Hi, Jenny. Thanks so much for having me. My name is Carolyn Haeler. I am the founder and CEO of Mightylicious, gluten-free.
I have to say, I was really excited when I was contacted about Mightylicious, and I hadn't heard of you before, so it was even more exciting for me. And I asked if we could get some samples, which we do have. Oh my gosh, so many samples. And I asked for some samples for Just Be Coffee over in Eureka Springs as well. And we actually already started eating them a couple of days ago, the second they got in. One of the regulars there can't eat gluten. So she's completely gluten free. She's like everything free. She was so excited to be able to get those cookies in her hands. And she's like, this is such a treat for me because I don't usually get to eat cookies. And I believe that's where this started for you.
It is. That's exactly where it started for me. I was diagnosed with celiac disease at 31. So I lived most of my life. Even to today, it's been about 14 years now, 13 years now, since I was diagnosed. So most of my life I lived gluten full, I like to
Uh-huh.
say.
Hmm.
And I ate all the pastries and had all the cake and drank all the beer and did all the things and lived abroad. And I love food and I love baking and I love grocery stores. I love coffee shops. I love
Hmm.
tea. I love the ceremony that and the community of food. I love baking and I love cooking and all those things. And then all of a sudden my immune system started failing. And it started really slight where I was just getting some indigestion and it wasn't anything severe, but it was bothersome enough that was talking to my GP about it.
Hmm.
And over the course of 9 months, it went from like a little bit of indigestion and some discomfort to my immune system failing. Full
Hmm.
stop. My hair was falling out. My skin had turned gray. My stomach wasn't just bloated, it was distended. Um,
Hmm.
I had joint pain, fatigue, exhaustion. And had just started a brand new job and a brand new career in finance. I graduated from business school and moved to New York and had started a job in Wall Street, and all of that is a lot without feeling ill.
Hmm. Hmm.
Moving to a new place, starting a new job, starting a new career, all of those things are a lot. Um, and finally, my doctor looked at me. He was like, "Well, maybe you have HIV because we'd done all the tests. We'd done blood tests. We'd done all sorts of tests. We'd done elimination diets, and nothing was working." And I was like, "Yeah, maybe you should have tested for that 9 months ago." It's a
Right, right.
very heavy thing to be hit with.
Yeah.
I'd had about a week after he said that to me, I had a colonoscopy and endoscopy. And they actually found the antibodies in my colon. It was like, you have celiac disease, handed me a piece of paper and was like, enjoy your life, right? There's nothing we could do for that, but you can manage it. And there was a tremendous sense of relief that goes along with that because I did not have HIV. Celiac disease felt a lot more
Right.
manageable. Um, and but there's also a lot of unknown, a lot of fear. Um, so this was just 2 days before Thanksgiving, and I basically was like, okay, I am not going to eat because I've already done elimination diets, and that was didn't help. I am not
Hmm.
going to eat anything unless it was pulled off a tree or cut, like I saw, like you physically see where it was cut off the animal, right? Like only whole,
Right. Okay.
just the butcher and fruits and vegetables, like whole ones. Like I know I can see the stem attached. And within 48 hours, obviously, like I'd done permanent damage. I Celiac disease is an autoimmune disease where I actually attack my own body and I'm attacking my
Right.
colon. Which is why I was turning gray. When your colon is under attack, it's being damaged, you can't absorb nutrition.
Right.
So everything I was eating was not helping me because I was not absorbing it. So my hair is falling out and my skin was turning gray.
Yeah.
Um, and you're slowly killing yourself and going insane. So within 48 hours, though, like my skin turned pink again. Like that's how immediate the lifestyle change was from me just being like, no.
Wow.
And what I learned over like the course of several months is that gluten is in everything. We sort of think about gluten as being in baked goods, right? We
Yeah.
think of bread and pasta, beer, things like that. Cake, brownies, but gluten is in everything. It's used
Yeah.
as a color, so it's in anything with caramel color. That includes Pepsi and ginger ale. It
Yep.
includes apple cider vinegar. It includes all crackers, cookies, baked goods, anything that's brown, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's also used as a preservative, so it can be in things like turkey and ham in the cold cut
Right.
section. And it's also used as a filler, so it's in spices. Anything where they can save, like if it's a very large corporation, is owned by Unilever or one of those big companies, anywhere they can save a fraction of a penny, they may use something like gluten to replace like 0.0%, and then they don't have to claim it as an ingredient.
Right.
So I've been gluten before by cinnamon, ingredients, cinnamon, period. Um, and I am so sensitive that there can be trace amounts of gluten and I will react in 180 seconds.
Mm. Okay.
So that changes your life profoundly. And for me,
Yes.
it changed, I didn't miss the cake per se. I didn't miss the croissants. What I did miss was the convenience, because
Mm,
bread
yeah.
is really a convenience vehicle. You can no longer grab a bagel, grab a muffin. You can no longer make yourself a sandwich and throw it in your purse. You can no
Yeah.
longer do a lot of those things. And I was getting up at 5 a.m. every single morning, or, 5 days a week, to be in the office before the markets open, not getting home until after the sun is set, being physically, emotionally, psychologically exhausted
Yeah.
from a very grueling day. And then having to make everything from scratch so that I knew
Yes.
that I was safe. And that is very emotionally and physically exhausting.
It
You also
is.
learn, and this is where the cookie comes in, that food is very celebratory. It's very
Mhm.
ceremonial. And something as small and common as a cookie, like think about it, a cookie has no purpose in your life. You're not getting any nutrition from your cookie. Even
Oh,
if
I
it's
think a cookie
healthy,
has so much purpose in my
if
life.
it like with no like practical purpose, right? You're
Right,
not
right,
getting your nourishment from this cookie.
right.
Even a healthy cookie is not really nourishment.
No.
It's a healthier cookie. It's not really nourishment. It's a celebration. It's your own person. It's like you don't want a piece of cake. That's a lot. You need a little happiness. It's a little smile. It's a little
Right.
celebration. And that is really important in your life. And when it's taken away from you, you start to feel that.
Mhm.
And so I literally got to a point where I've been living with the disease for 5 years. And I got to the point where I picked up a package of cookies off the shelf and I was tired and I was hungry and I'd been shopping all day and I was like standing in line waiting to check out. And I took a bite of this cookie and it was so stale and it was so gritty and it was so unappetizing. They literally like this was like, and caught it in my hand. It was like, oh man, now I have to buy these cookies and they're $10. I have to buy
Right.
$10, spend $10 in cookies I'm going to throw away before I leave the store. And that was it. I was like, I went to business school. I know how to start a business. I know all about entrepreneurialism. It's,
Uh-huh.
be a risk taker. I am. You have to understand business and logistics and supply chain, and I do. You have to understand finance, and I do.
Mhm.
Um, who better to fail than me? So I thought of
Right.
why not? And so I spent 3 months perfecting recipes in my studio apartment in New York City. I left my job in finance. And I was like, I'm going to do this. And I spent all day, every day baking from scratch until I discovered that there's no good. The chemistry for gluten-free baking is completely different from the chemistry for
Absolutely.
wheat baking. Completely different. You can't use the recipes. They're not one for one. Even if someone tells you it is, it's not.
Right.
It's a different chemistry. Um, Figured out what that chemistry was, figured out what the flour blend should be, and walked into a Whole Foods on 86th Street with cookies in a little tin Thai coffee bag. I was like, I make cookies. This was on a Thursday, and I was being onboarded to Whole Foods by Monday. It was only 3 stores in their forager program, but it was like I didn't have a license. I didn't have anything. I was like, oh, okay. Okay, let's go.
Oh my
Let's
gosh.
let's
I
do
love
this.
these stories. Yeah.
So fortunately for me, it took about 6 months to onboard to Whole Foods. On average, it takes 3 months. It can take anywhere from 3 months to 6 months to onboard with
Mhm.
a new supplier, even now. And I have a team and everything. And so in that amount of time, I found a commercial facility in Queens. I got my insurance. I got all my licenses. I set up my business and I hit the shelves of Whole Foods in January of 2018. And I've just been running ever since. We started with 3 flavors back then, and I made them all by hand in a little commercial facility in Queens that I would go to on the
Mm.
weekends and
Mhm.
bake for like basically 24, 48 hours straight. And then, well, I slept in between, but I was there all day and then go home and then go back. I had a little team of me and like two high school kids who would deliver my cookies on Monday to Whole Foods out of the back of their mom's sedan. Um, and now I'm in, huge retailers all over the US. I'm in, you can find me in Hawaii. You can find me in almost all of the states, and I'm growing exponentially. And 2 years ago, I raised $5 million in capital. So it all worked out. And
All from a cookie.
all from just needing a cookie, from having a bad day and needing a cookie. And now we have flour blends. So we've
Yeah.
expanded our line from 3 cookies to 7. We have 4 vegan and gluten-free, non-GMO varieties. And we also have flour mixes, which you have right there.
I have not gone to try the flour mix yet. I'm excited. I also saw this brownie mix.
Oh, that's my best-selling SKU. That is
That
phenomenal.
that that's the
I,
next thing that's gonna
I
go.
highly recommend this brownie. Like I have people come back, like they'll take it. I go to food shows all the time.
Yeah,
And and people are like, they give me like, oh, gluten-free. I'm gonna go, bleh. Like
yeah,
people, I'll be like, try a brownie. And people can't really say no to brownies. And then they
yeah.
come back afterwards and they're like, I'm not gluten-free. I'm not vegan. And that was the best brownie I've ever had. I was like, thanks for coming back and telling me that made my day.
Exactly. I back in when was it? Okay, I lived in New York for 10 years, sometime between 1999 and 2009. And during that time, it was suggested that I become gluten-free. Uh, and that was new. This was a new idea
Oh
that we
yeah.
would be gluten-free. And it was to help cramps, menstrual cramps. They were like, something's going on, maybe this will help. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. At that time, there was nothing in the store.
Nothing.
There's
Absolutely
no,
nothing.
you couldn't buy anything. You'd be on the streets of New York City, like going, what can I eat? And looking
People
at,
didn't even know what is gluten-free. What is gluten?
right,
No one knew like what's a
it's
gluten?
in soy sauce, like
Yeah,
I can't
it's in
eat
everything.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's in
Uh,
everything.
and luckily that was not that was not really my issue. So I didn't have to remain gluten free. I think I went macrobiotic for a little while and then did a few other things. But it's incredible now what's on the market. And but like you said, and what the regular at Just Be Coffee said was, "Oh my God, this is moist. This is soft.
It
This
tastes like
is
it tastes good. Yeah.
it tastes good."
Yeah,
Our,
yeah.
our favorite one was the oatmeal coconut.
Oh yeah, that's my bestseller. It's phenomenal. That's a 100-year-old recipe from my wife's side of the family. We know it's 100 years. It might be even older than that. My mother-in-law served it to me for Christmas. So Whole Foods had asked me to come up. They're like, gluten-free is great. Your cookies are wonderful, but vegan is really taking off. Can you make a vegan gluten-free cookie? And I was like, so you want me to bake commercially? You want me to commercial bake without eggs,
Right,
flour, or butter?
right,
I was like, yeah. Do you know that baking is eggs, flour, and butter? That is what
right. That's why all the recipes have eggs, flour, and
flour
butter
and
in them.
butter in them. Yeah, that is what baking is. And what's so hard about that is that wheat flour is really high in protein and it's really neutral in flavor, which is why we bake with it. It's why it's the default flour, right?
Hmm.
It's we're not using ancient grains. Wheat flour, it caramelizes, it's really neutral in flavor, it complements both savory and sweet dishes, and it has protein. So you can underdevelop the protein and not mix it very much. It can be soft and fluffy, or you could overwork the protein and turn it into a sourdough, hard and chewy.
Right.
That's technology. That is phenomenal technology we take for granted. And when you remove all that protein, you've removed the structure. It's like building a house without
Hmm.
the structure. The only protein left when you're baking is in the egg and in the dairy. And
Hmm.
so now you're removing all to bake vegan and gluten-free, you're removing all of the protein, period.
Yeah.
Which means you don't no longer no not only do you not have the foundation, but you also don't have the walls, the
Yeah.
walls, or the beams, and the drywall, right? So it's
I'm
like
I'm
building a house that's just empty.
I'm
It'll just
thinking
fall apart.
about
Yeah,
Alton Brown right now and Good
yeah,
Eats
yeah,
and making all these
yeah, yeah,
little
yeah.
things about gluten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is what because the gluten is the strength. It's the that keeps it together and keeps it from falling apart. So what you have is something that just falls apart, it just turns into a puddle.
Right.
Um, and so my mother-in-law served, I was like, I have to do this because Whole Foods asked, so I'm going to do it. But I can't do it and not have it taste really good and be really delicious, be something that I want to eat over and over again.
Hmm.
And my mother-in-law served me this cookie, and it was her great grandmother's recipe. And so, and I was like, this, I didn't know I needed coconut and oatmeal together. That's not something that I would have paired
Yeah.
naturally. Wonderful. It's so
Yes.
comforting. It's so satisfying. It tastes buttery. There's no butter in it. Um, and it's sort of exotic from the coconut. It's lovely. It's really wonderful.
I'm gonna have
Um,
to eat one.
so and coconut has a lot of like structure to it
Hmm.
inherently coconut has structure to it. And oat meal has body to it. It's gelatinous, so it sort of holds itself together. And I was like, this may be it. This may be the one.
Right.
I created that recipe and I was like, let's try it. It came out wonderful and it was so successful. I now have 3 additional flavors based on the chemistry I developed from that recipe. I was able to create 3 additional vegan, gluten-free, and my oat milk coconut, which is vegan, gluten-free, non-GMO, and my vegan chocolate chip are 2 of my top selling flavors that I have in the line.
So this cookie, this oatmeal coconut,
Yeah.
it has the oatmeal in it, but I also know that oatmeal often has gluten in it. Like there's gluten-free oatmeal.
Yes. So it's
So you
gluten-free.
used a
Yes.
gluten-free oatmeal in this,
Yes.
and it
So
still retained like the structure it
yes.
needed.
Yeah. So the reason why oatmeal is so challenging with regards to celiac disease and gluten intolerance is that oats and wheat are often close to each other. And so just wind will blow wheat into the oats.
Okay.
And then when you get to the milling process, even if the oats are like completely, isolated from any other contaminants, um, the mills are mill multiple types of grains and
Okay.
cleaning a mill. So these mills you have to imagine are like the size of like a stadium, right? So they're
Mm,
enormous and there's dust everywhere. So in order
right.
to make it gluten-free, they have to be willing to clean and disinfect the entire mill.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
so so I want to actually talk about my flour because that's a great segue into the flours and the cookies. Is I learned very early on that the flour blend was the most important thing because a cookie
Mm-hmm.
is just flour, butter, and sugar, right? Vanilla,
Mm-hmm.
some baking
Mm-hmm.
soda, that's a cookie. And what most gluten-free bakers do to get around what we've already discussed, which is the lack of protein, is they use an ancient grain. The most
Mm-hmm.
commonly used ancient grain is sorghum flour. They
Mm-hmm.
also use amaranth flour, garbanzo bean flour, millet flour, buckwheat flour, any of these or all of these. And I love ancient grains. I don't want to say anything bad about them, but an ancient grain should be served like chicken piccata
Mm,
because they have a very powerful, overpowering flavor to them. And there's
they
nothing
do.
wrong with that. But when you're baking, you have vanilla, and vanilla is a orchid. It's like a perfume, and it's very delicate, and it's very beautiful, and it's very wonderful, and it's why we love baked goods. But it can't compete with sorghum flour, which has a very acrid, very bitter aftertaste. So if you're making chicken piccata, which has olives in it, and chicken, and tomato, and acid, it's wonderful. It's great,
Right.
but it doesn't belong in a very delicate oatmeal coconut cookie or a very delicate chocolate chip cookie,
Mm-hmm.
because that's all you'll taste. And so, and also those flavors, and this is little bit of biology, um, they build on your palate. So the more you eat them, the
Mm-hmm.
more acrid it tastes to you.
Mm, okay.
They build
Okay.
on your taste buds.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you are eating them all the time, you take a bite into it and you're gluten free and you have it all the time. That's all you taste. And to be honest, it's a very unappealing flavor. It's not like
Right.
there's a reason why so many people eat gluten free and they're like, I don't really want any more of that, even though it's a cookie. It's because of the ancient grain. And then there's two, rice flour is also usually there's an ancient grain to add some protein in there. And then rice
Mm-hmm.
flour, because it's neutral and abundant and it's naturally gluten-free. But rice flour in the United States, or anywhere really, it's aside from maybe mochi flour, is not milled for baking, it's milled for cooking. So it's very gritty and grainy. And so
Okay.
when you bake with it, it can't homogenize and turn into a dough. It doesn't absorb the moisture the way you need it to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you end up with that very gritty texture often.
Mm-hmm.
So you not only have the bad, bitter, acrid flavor from the sorghum flour, but then you have the grittiness from the rice flour, and you take a bite and it's like sandy and bitter, and you're like, I'm not hungry anymore.
Right, right.
Thing.
Mm,
And so I actually created a blend that uses in our gluten-free flour blend, we use whole milk powder to replace the protein. And our vegan flour blend, we use coconut milk powder to
okay.
replace the protein.
Mm-hmm.
And then we work specifically with mills in California, which are just rice mills. They don't mill anything else, to mill our flour to a spec so it can be used for baking. So when you put your fingers in my flour and feel it, and when you open it, you'll do this, feels like cornstarch. It's so fine and so smooth and
Woo!
it's built
It
so
already flew out at
soft
me.
that it
It
feels like
is.
cornstarch. There's no grittiness in
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes it perform so beautifully and allows me to make my
Mm,
cookies the way they are. They're neutral in flavor. There's no
mm,
sorghum flour. They're rice based, but the rice flour is milled really fine. So you can use it
mm-hmm.
almost 1 to 1. I usually don't advise making recipes 1 to 1 because I always want to make some adjustments to it. But you can make like you can take Nestle Toll House cookies, take my flour and make those cookies and they'll come out wonderful.
Wow. Okay. So I was a cottage baker for a while in Austin, in Dallas. It was like, Jenny, how are you going to pay your electric bill? And somebody said, why don't you bake, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did attempt to do some vegan and gluten-free things. It was mostly holiday baking. And I picked all the things that I loved from my past, um, and made them because you talked about celebratory, right?
Yeah, exactly. Those
All
are
the
things.
things that made me go like this during the holidays, right? I
Yeah.
wanted to share those.
Hmm.
And so I'm pulling out gluten-free and I'm trying to figure out, making cinnamon rolls and all these things. And at the time, again, there wasn't anything out there that you could just buy. So people were like, oh, thank God. But you're tasting them, you're like, this does not feel in my mouth right. It doesn't taste right. Um,
You're like, I didn't change anything but the flour.
and it cost $1 million for me to make it.
Yes. So expensive. So expensive. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And I'm
But
starting to understand now why. It's because of the rigid standards that have to be maintained.
yeah, and also, I understand a lot more about manufacturing now. It's like a manufacturing plant just doesn't just make one thing, it makes many
Right.
things. And if you're a mill, you're milling many things. You want to keep your
Right.
plant operating as often as you can, even overnight, in order to be optimally utilized, to be making the most money. And that means that you aren't just doing one ingredient or one product, whatever the season is, you're doing that and cleaning the time. It's just actually a lot like movies. It's like the time you're on set is what's so expensive. When you're
Hmm.
operating at your mill, you want to be as efficient as possible. So cleaning is an expense. It's
Hmm.
just the time it takes to clean it. You're not producing anything. And so the less you have to clean, the better. Whereas everything gluten-free needs, especially if you're not dedicated, not a dedicated facility, every time you do something gluten-free, you have to clean your machine. So that
Right.
increases cost, almost doubles it. And then when I was looking for manufacturing plants, there's 40,000 food manufacturing plants in the United States. Only about a dozen are certified gluten-free. So most of the products out there, while there are more products, and this is sort of what your friend at the coffee shop is probably alluding to, there isn't a tremendous amount of differentiation between those products. Like if you went and bought all the
Right.
products in cookies and opened them up, and that's because they are literally made at the same plant. And I know which
The
ones
same
they are.
12 plants,
Yeah,
right?
the same 12 plants. Yeah. And some of them, like some of
Wow.
the brands, like some of the top brands are literally made at the exact same plant, like the single plant that's big enough to manufacture them. So
That's fascinating.
yeah, the same plant. And so you're like, there's not a lot of differentiation because when you work with a plant, they have a specific kind of machinery that they
Right.
use. They have specific suppliers that they're buying from, and they want to order as much as possible to get the best price. So you sort of get what I call operationalized. What you started with, which was like what you created in your kitchen, was differentiated and completely unique. But then when you get into the manufacturing process, you get sort of operationalized and everything sort of ends up feeling and looking the same because there is so few plants to do it and there's so little
Right.
differentiation at the manufacturing. And of course you go to them and say, I want this flour and I want that, and that's more expensive then because they're like, I am buying, one pallet of this one ingredient. For
Right.
you, that's more expensive than using, the truckload of
Mm.
sugar that I purchase every month.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's it's kind of that weird dynamic that we have here in America, that food that is good for you, food that, like, even the simplest foods
Mhm.
cost more than the
Way more.
mass produced foods. And it
So
it
much
doesn't
harder.
make sense. But
Yeah.
now I understand more about why that is.
Yeah. Well, like an Oreo or Nabisco, like they're not even measuring things. They're having their sugar, flour, and butter delivered in the exact quantity that they're going to put it into the mixer, right? So they don't even have to pay someone to measure it for them. It's so
Ah,
operationalized that it's getting delivered to them to the ounce of like the weight that they need. They're opening it up, putting it in the machine, right? Where I have
incredible.
guys running around and they're measuring each and every batch and each making things, even though it's large, like I'm making 600 pounds at a time, but it's still handmade because they are hand measuring everything. They're pouring it all in. That's so much more expensive than when you get big enough to be like an Oreo or a Keebler, and there's no people involved at that point. It's
So
just being
what does
delivered.
that mean as you scale your business?
It's hard. Like I am right now at the point where at the same manufacturer that I've been with since the beginning, since I stopped making everything by hand because I just couldn't anymore.
Yeah.
Um, and he does specialty cookies and he's wonderful. But he's also kind of expensive. And the more people and the more moving parts you have, the more risk you have in the manufacturing process.
Hmm.
Um, and so I'm trying to sort of evolve and grow to a bigger facility, but I can't find one who's capable of like who still has the technique and the talent to be able to do it
From listening to your story, I have a
larger.
feeling that you're going to create one.
I am. I am. That's a nice, great. There's capital to buy a. I don't really want to be in manufacturing. Manufacturing is a really hard business to be in, but I am currently, yeah, looking for. I want someone else to buy to do it for
Oh,
me, but to do
yeah.
it with this as a specialty.
That is
The specialty
so,
gluten-free really doesn't exist. Like I work with a co-man who is a specialty cookie maker. He makes cookies by hand and he hand decorates them in mass quantities, like millions of them. Um, decorates like by hand and makes these little cookies that are covered in white chocolate, and then they have all these little decorations, and some of them are bunnies and like depending for Easter, and like really specialty cookies, and they taste amazing. And he like doesn't want to bake. He won't bake unless I'm gluten-free unless I'm there. That's how hard it is to bake gluten-free
gotcha.
compared to wheat. Because if something goes wrong with gluten-free, there's like no fixing it. Whereas he's like, Carolyn, if I have a little mistake or the guy has accidentally mismeasured something, we have make a little few adjustments and it's fine. That does not exist. And baking gluten-free because it's chemistry, like you could have, right now, baking right now in the wintertime in New York when it's cold and it's dry is completely different from baking in the summertime when there's more
Yeah.
moisture in the air and the barometric pressure is different. And
That,
we're
right. If you've
basically at
ever
sea
made
level. We're
meringue,
not
you
even,
know
we're not
this.
even, in the mountains or anything. We're at sea
Right.
level here in
Right.
Manhattan. And just the weather can impact the
Hmm.
quality. The cookies might spread more when it's humid out, and they don't spread as much in the wintertime, which means we're constantly making micro adjustments to the recipe so that we're getting a cookie that is pretty standardized.
Wow. Okay. So this brings me to something that I think a lot of us, especially women, struggle with is how how do we let go, or what can we let go of and delegate to others so that we can take care of ourselves, and
A good question.
all that good stuff.
I don't know if I'm the right person to answer that question.
I'm
You know,
interested
I
to
will
see your
say,
path on that.
I have a wife. So like I think about that all the time. Like women are always asked, like, how do you handle it all? I have two little kids and I'm a CEO and I run this business and I'm all over the country. And the answer to that, unfortunately, is I have a wife. And that
Huh?
and she's amazing. And she is, when I have to be somewhere else, she fills in for me and she is my partner in everything. And we're really a team on everything. Um, but other than that, in this season of my life, I would say that my glass is half empty, not half full, because I have little people,
Hmm.
and my little people take up all of my excess energy and time, and that's honestly the way it should be.
Yeah.
Um, it's way more important that they're getting what they need right now than mommy's getting what she needs.
Hmm.
But I certainly, if I didn't have my wife, it would be unbearable and impossible. So,
Yeah.
we are a team. And I was thinking about that today. I think I was like, there's a lot of like culture wars and lots of conversations and different adjectives out there. And I'm bisexual, so I have a different perspective because I am open to all types of companionship in my
Uh-huh.
life.
Hmm.
And I think that if you take away the gender, obviously, I think it's harder for women for so many societal reasons. But we've really built in America specifically, we've really built a country that is for the individual. It's no longer about community. We've moved away
Ah,
from community-based culture to an individual-based culture. And when you think about why people are not getting married and not having children, well, we don't have the community we need to survive. We have basically made it possible and ideal for an individual to survive, which has
mhm.
never happened in humanity ever.
You have returned. Are you there? There
Sorry,
you are.
I could, sorry, everything that happens. Can you see me okay? I'm on my
I
cell
can I can see you, yeah.
phone.
Your audio isn't as good, but I think we'll be fine. I am all about, so my in my brand, in my world, imperfection is one of my brand values. My life has gone in such a way that I have to embrace it.
Is that any better?
Oh yeah. That's great.
Yeah, no, it's total. I have a SVP of sales, and his kids are older now, and I have a 1-year-old and 3-year-old, and he's like, just watching you, Carolyn, is pure chaos. I'm like, you just have to. It is. That is what happens. We flew home last night. My wife's 40th birthday, and we had a wonderful vacation. We took the kids to Disney because that's the only thing you can do with kids. For her 40th birthday, we had a wonderful time. Then we're flying back, and there's turbulence, and of course, my 1-year-old vomits everywhere because we're circling LaGuardia for 30 minutes, being bounced up and down. And I'm like, you just have to vomit. It's just we are always prepared for bodily functions because we have little people. And this is my life now.
I have no little people. I have animals. But I've also just gotten done with a stint with rectal cancer. So I had cleared my body of that with chemo and radiation and surgeries, and my body doesn't work the same way anymore. So it's very much like, okay, what's going to happen and when is it going to happen?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So like that is my wife is always like said she sent me a funny meme of like where all the restrooms are at Disney, right? Because we have little people and we have a 3-year-old who's potty training, and because mommy is ever since my body will never be as whole as it once was because of the damage that I did. And your digestive system is your immune system. And once you've done damage to your digestive system, you are never the same. So I not only get sick easier, but I get sick longer than I ever have.
Uh-huh.
And so all of those things you no longer take for granted. Now, when I look at food, it's yes, I'm hungry and it's about cravings and, those things, but it's also just about healing my body and making sure I'd rather be hungry than to cause damage or any kind of damage. Like hunger is no longer, certainly eating something and then reacting to it is far worse. And also, it's not even like the short term for people with gluten intolerance. There's short term symptoms, which are terrible. I experienced those immediately, but it's the long term effects that I am really the most concerned with. Because I already am, since I was diagnosed at 31 and it was immediate. I was like, oh, I am no longer 29.
Right. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's like a jump, isn't it?
Yeah. And it was, and it was like basically overnight. It was a 9-month period, but it felt like overnight where I'm like, wow, I'm just so much more vulnerable to everyone and everything than I used to be. And I live in a really highly populated place where, taking the subway every single day is just a petri dish.
Right. Yes. I'm going to get home. I'm going to take off my clothes. I'm going to change them.
Take a shower immediately. Everything goes in. Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we also we talked about the flour and we've talked about cookies and we talked about the browning mix. And I'm thinking about holidays because I just created a zine, a zine series that's the first one is about prepping your heart for the holidays. So it's basically it's called Better Homes and Boundaries. And instead of focusing on how do we everywhere out there, there's like how do we prepare our house? How do we prepare the food? How are we going to make this perfect Martha looking thing, right?
Yeah.
And it never turns out like that. So this one is so my approach is very much about like how do we prep our heart for the holidays? How do we try to find ways that we can have the holidays that we want to have and not have to show up in ways that we don't want to be showing up that make us sick or whatever it is. Food's a big part of that. And I know that you know this because for 6 years I was vegan and I was plant-based. Early, like in my 20s, I was vegan, but again, in my 20s, there's nothing vegan out there. So I was eating carbs, right? But later I became a vegan, a plant-based vegan, and it was really incredibly challenging to eat anything at a party or anything that anybody had, right? And it became a big deal to some people. And I'm like, it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. I want to eat. I want to celebrate. I want to do the things. Yeah. So I think these are brilliant for holidays, for finding ways to manifest new holiday traditions
Yeah.
especially this because I'm going to use it and see what happens. But the way you've created this and been able to produce this, um, I should be able just to take some of my favorite. I just made poof. This just poofed everywhere because
Yeah,
I set it down and it poofed.
I, so I totally agree. So it's not, food is not just about nourishment. It's about community and your heart, and it's about comfort, and it's about celebration, and it's about sharing and all those things. And it's the hardest for people with food restrictions is the holidays. At least for me, it is. And so, like, I'm not vegan. I can only eat a few things, so I eat meat. Right.
Uh-huh.
So
Hmm.
I'm not, but when Whole Foods asked me to make the cookies, I have so much empathy for people who have um, these, either whether they're dietary restrictions or lifestyle choices. I have a lot of respect, a lot of empathy for people. And I was like, if anyone can do it, it's me. I can do it. Like,
Hmm.
and I'm going to try because everyone like deserves a cookie, whether you're gluten-free or you're vegan or you can't eat eggs or you can't eat whatever it is that you, whether it's your lifestyle or it's an illness or a dietary restriction, everyone deserves a cookie. And so we now have the 4 vegan flavors. And if you like oatmeal raisin and you like the holidays, so my oatmeal raisin cookie is vegan and gluten-free, non-GMO, and it has allspice in it, which is like that nutmeg, cinnamon,
Mhm.
uh, and it's very warming. And it's the cookie, everyone always asks me what my favorite cookie is, and it's very hard for me to answer. I would say brown butter chocolate chip or oatmeal coconut are the top 2, but the one I eat the most, the one that goes into my face the most, is the oatmeal raisin because it's like a hug. It's like a warm
Yes.
hug, like on a cold winter day, and it's so comforting.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what the holidays are about. It's about it's cold outside, and you want to be with your family, and you're celebrating, and it's comforting. And so you can use my flour blends. I will say when you're baking gluten-free and vegan, bake smaller. That's
Hmm.
always about because you don't have the structure. So like if you're making breads, instead of making a normal loaf, make a half loaf. That's always going to help you out.
Okay. Right. Because the structure is
Yeah,
gonna,
yeah.
if
So
it's
it's
bigger,
all the way
smaller.
through to a big loaf. So do half loaves. It's fine. It's just
Hmm.
smaller, but it'll taste and look beautiful. I would say with gluten free, because what I described earlier about my flour blend works beautifully, but I always like to either remove about a quarter cup of the flour or add in a wet sugar. Or
Mm. Okay.
It's a little bit harder when you're, I guess it's easier with cookies because I can like reserve a little bit of the cookies and then add a little bit more. Like
Hmm.
test one cookie, like I'm very technical. So I'll like take 1 scoop, which is exactly 1 ounce of cookie. Now I know exactly how many ounces are in there. And I'll be like, all right, now I can add a few more ounces of this or that. But I would test the recipe, especially for cookies or something that you can make a batch of and add to with a little bit less flour
Hmm.
because rice is a lot harder than wheat and it doesn't absorb, it needs more moisture. So if
Okay.
you remove a little bit of the flour, that can help. Another thing that helps with texture and moisture is to add like a tablespoon or 2 of like maple syrup or honey or agave or any type of liquid sweetener you have and you enjoy.
Hmm.
It,
Hmm.
any is going to that helps with the shelf life, so it's going to make it stay fresh longer.
Hmm.
Also helps add in a little bit more of that moisture you need for the dough to really homogenize. Um,
Gotcha.
and it doesn't really increase the sweetness that much. And if you want to remove some of the sugar, but like adding a tablespoon of maple syrup is not going to push the flavor. And those 2 things help tremendously. Either
Okay.
if you've baked it before and you're like, oh, it came out a little dry, remove a
Hmm.
quarter of flour off the bat. If you're like, oh, it's always
Okay.
too dry, remove a quarter cup of flour. If you're like, it's good, but I want the texture to be better, add a tablespoon or 2 of maple syrup or honey or whatever you have, agave syrup. And those two things, you can do both. You can do both of those things if the recipe can handle it. Those 2 things, like with pancakes, I always add maple syrup.
Right. 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 Right.
um, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. Cookies, always add 2 potatoes, unless it's like a shortbread or something like that. That is very specific. But like chocolate chip cookies, always add a tablespoon or 2 of maple syrup, always. Um, and then for most breads or cakes, and if it's a traditional recipe, I'm going to remove a quarter cup of flour.
Is that why the grape juice is in the chocolate chip?
The that is actually for like we've done some things because the supply chain is 9 months for ready to eat, and I want there's no preservatives in my cookies. So the grape juice is actually a all natural shelf life stabilizer.
Who knew?
But the maple syrup does the same thing.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Also great because you can take them. I'm sad. It makes me so sad that kids at schools, you can't bake for kids at schools anymore
Yeah.
because you don't know who's
Yeah.
going to have what, but you
Yeah.
can grab these and have them out there and any of the kids could eat them. Wait,
Yeah, and
these are
they're
the vegan, gluten-free.
packaged.
Yeah.
Yep, and they're packaged on the inside, so they're wrapped so that if for cross contamination. So if you are someone who's super sensitive, you can throw them in a lunchbox in your purse. There's no cross
That's why
contamination.
they're wrapped. So these are wrapped in threes, and then there were some that were wrapped singly.
Yeah, it depends on the size of the cookie and whether it'll fit through the machine. But yeah. But
Okay.
if you don't love to bake, if you're not like you're like I'm vegan, I love the holidays, but I don't want to make a cinnamon bread or like pumpkin
Yeah.
bread from scratch, make my brownies.
Okay. The brownies are
Brownies,
on the.
all you need is the water or coffee. Always use whenever you're baking with chocolate, always
Mm,
use coffee. Always.
hmm
So
hmm
I have an espresso machine, but any cold coffee, anything, replace the water with coffee. So like it's a quarter cup of coffee. And then instead of an egg replacer, all you need is yogurt. So I like coconut yogurt, but any yogurt that you prefer is your egg. And so you're going to add a quarter cup of that. And then you're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. You're going to mix it all up and you're going to have the best vegan. No one is going to know that your brownies are vegan or gluten.
Wow.
They
So if I was like, okay, they don't have to be vegan, could I use a regular
are,
yogurt in it?
yeah.
Just a
Oh,
dairy-based yogurt
or an egg.
or an egg?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yum. Okay.
All of those methods, everything works.
Perfect. So last night,
Also, so you have to add, so instead of butter, you have to melt. We recommend using like a palm oil based butter. So that's like Earth Balance,
okay.
margarine, something that baking is easier for everything if the oil you're using, which is butter, is solid at room temperature.
Okay.
Which is why it's so hard to cook with coconut oil. It's too liquid. So use a your vegan butter, whatever vegan butter that's
hmm
hard at room temperature, or at least in the refrigerated section is like, and if you're baking gluten-free, the brownies gluten-free, use butter. It tastes better.
Everything's better with butter.
Everything's better with butter, but it's delicious. I promise you, because I make them completely vegan for all of my trade shows and they're delicious. But the
We
coffee
actually,
difference, I promise.
okay.
Yeah.
We have two of these. So there's one for me and one for Just Be Coffee. And I think what we'll do is we'll make one vegan and one not vegan and check it out and see. And we'll put her coffee in there because it's going to be amazing.
So the gluten-free ones will be a little bit richer because they have butter in them, but the vegan ones are going to be ooey gooier.
Ooey, ooey. Oh, so good.
They're great, and they're wonderful also if you put a high quality like chocolate on top, sprinkle high quality chocolate. You don't have to; they're fine without it. But
Could you add chocolate chips to them?
oh, absolutely, that's what I mean. But like
So
so,
you could
chocolate
just.
chip, I say if you're going to invest in chocolate for
Mhm.
this purpose, like the chocolate chips that you buy are not the highest quality chocolate. So
Right.
if you're going to spend $9.99 on chocolate, get a nice bar of chocolate
I
and put it.
know.
It's the same price.
Right now, that's so true. It's
It's the
like,
same price. So get the nicer, you
okay.
know, the nicer chocolate, chop it up and put it on. It's going to look better. It's going to taste better. But if you have chocolate chips and you want to use 100%, use those. Oh,
So last night I was really craving a treat and I happened to have some Alden's organic eggnog ice cream and a little bit of some whipped cream that I had made for a butternut squash pie that had a little bit of like rum extract in it. And these cookies and some almonds. And I crumbled the brown butter cookies on there. It was so good. It was like an eggnog brown butter
mhm.
sundae. It was so yummy.
Yeah,
But
I put these in ice cream. Like I'll like, because I really love like cookies and cream, and like I can no longer have cookie dough ice cream, so I let the ice cream is soft and mix my cookies in, put it back in the freezer, and it's wonderful.
oh yum, 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 yum. Okay. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. But I do, we stopped, we kind of got cut off when we're talking about community.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I have found community now. I've moved out of the cities and into small town and have found community here that I had never anticipated. Um, and resources that I had never anticipated. And because of the rectal cancer and being single, I had to learn how to ask for help and receive help.
Yep.
And I was shocked and I had only lived here for 2 years at that time. So I didn't really know everybody, right? And now I just have like my dog is out with somebody else right now playing and um and I we talk about this a lot. A number of people and I talk about like what does community look like and how do we nurture that community? So I'm just going to ask you that question. What does it look like for you and how would you nurture it?
That's a really good question. And I would say that like my um journey into building my company really taught me immediately, like in finance, it's mostly about individual contribution, right? Obviously, I have a team, but everyone's evaluated as an individual, and it's very competitive and very cutthroat. And you're really your success sort of is based on a lot based on your natural ability and your work ethic and those sorts of things, and also EQ things as well, like being able to collaborate and communicate. But you're just sort of focused on you and what you can do. And the second I started my business, I realized, oh, I can't do any of this.
Mm,
Like in the very beginning, I was baking the cookies, but the second I got big enough where I was like, okay, I need to trust someone else to make my cookies. I need to trust my suppliers to deliver the supplies on time, which is not something that I take for granted.
right.
I need to find people to help me with operations and everything. And these are real partnerships. And none of it, unlike the traditional things that I learned in school, there's a lot of resources that you can just sort of Google and you're like, I'm a researcher, I can do it myself. But in small business, it's all, private information. It's really important to the businesses. So you can't Google anything. You have to
Mhm.
rely on your partnerships and the people in your community and your food community to really educate you and be willing to share with you. And I was like, I have control over none of this. I
Mm,
all of my control and into other people's hands and hope that they can do it. And I was like, wow, there is no business without partnerships. And the
yeah.
quality of those partnerships are your success.
Hmm.
And so it took me a long time to find those partnerships.
Hmm.
And now when I find a good partner, I really invest in them. I treat them like my family
Yeah.
because that's how important they are to my success, to my business's success, to all the people now that are dependent on my business
Hmm.
for their livelihoods. And like I am building a family. And now that my wife and I are in the city and we have kids and we have family here, which is wonderful, but we also don't have a lot of family here. So it's our friendships that help us survive. Like our plane was delayed and then we were sitting on the tarmac and we had to ask our friend to watch our dog for an extra day.
Right.
And having those people, because otherwise he would have had nowhere to go. Um, and and you start to realize that friends stop being about entertainment, which they are when you're younger, and they
Hmm.
start being more about mutual survival for everyone. Um,
Yeah.
so we take Jackie's dog, Jackie takes our dog, people should
Right.
walk. Like these are things that we used to take for granted when we were young and single or just married, but now that we have children, we cannot both have our daughter napping and walk the dog at the same time because we can't leave her alone
Right.
in and hope we don't have a back door to let our dog out, right? So these are like
Right.
things that we're dealing with that are not trivial. um, so I now that I am older, I'm realizing that relationships and community is about partnership. It's not just about what I used to be, which is like going out and having fun and having entertainment and having a social life. Now it's about everyone partnering for everyone's mutual sort of survival and benefit. And finding
Mm.
those people takes time, and that's okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it takes investment from both sides. So
Hmm.
only good partnership if both people are investing. And those are the things that we sort of value now and are looking for and are willing to take the time and put the effort in to maintain them.
Beautiful. Excellent. Is there anything you'd like to add today?
No, can I tell you where to find my cookies?
Absolutely. Tell us.
Um, I mean, to add happy holidays to everyone in this hopeful season of peace and joy and love.
Hmm.
Um, I love cookies and I want everyone to enjoy cookies and to have a cookie, and things as small as sort of a cookie that is really makes you smile is really important to me. And that's sort of the mission of my company. If you'd like to try our cookies, you can find us at mightylicious.com.
Hmm.
You can find us on Amazon.
Hmm.
We're in many retailers across the US. It sort of depends on where you are. But I want to tell people, because as someone as a part of the food community and someone as a part of the allergen community, if your local grocery store in your community doesn't have what you need or what you buy, just ask for it politely.
Yes.
This
Hmm.
is so powerful. I know this now from being in the industry, but if you are going into these stores, and it could even be a huge, huge store that like a huge chain that's owned like Giant or something. If you are going into your local store and you're saying, to the manager, and you just politely say, is your manager here? I want to talk to them and say, I buy this product every day or
Hmm.
every week. Important to me. This is the brand. If enough people have asked for that, they will stock it.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
it's in their pipeline. It probably is like at the distribution center, like everyone pulls from a DC nearby. It probably is already there. They're just not.
Hmm.
So all they have to do is call their management and say, we need to be authorized for this product. 10 people have asked for it. Because the retailers know that if you're not buying it at their store, you're buying it on Amazon.
Right.
And if enough, they want to stock what you're going to buy.
Yeah.
Ask politely to say, do you have this? And it doesn't have to be my cookies. Anything that you need that you can't find at your grocery store and you buy it on Amazon, tell them.
Yeah. I noticed I live in Walmart land. Um, and I've noticed that there's an increasing number of alternative types of products at our kind of rural
Mm-hmm.
store. And I think it's that for that reason. There were some things that popped up and I was like, really? They have this now? It's like, yay, I'll buy it. I'll buy it. But I
Yeah,
think it's because they're realizing that
we work
people
with
are going to
Walmart.
order these things.
They're a wonderful team to work with, and they're very focused on the idea that like people don't choose food allergies, right? And they're so numerous now. And what the challenge they're trying to overcome is how do we get these specialty items, as we've identified, are expensive to make at
Hmm.
a price point that the Walmart consumer can afford.
Right.
I don't know that they've cracked that code yet, but they're actively trying to.
I've noticed that they are doing a pretty good job here with that
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
can
No,
find some
wait,
things there that are they're still beating the price than
I,
some of the other
I'm,
places.
I'm in Walmart with about 180 Walmarts here on the East Coast, and they really want me there.
Hmm.
Um, they really want me there, and I'm in the just the cookie set, and I'm competing against Oreo guys. It's really tough. They're like, I know, but we have consumers that need you, Carolyn. Uh,
Oh, good.
yeah, so they're very focused on it.
Well, you're also going to find some cookies. We're going to do a giveaway with 3 bags of cookies, one of my holiday zines, and some Just Be coffee, and I'll put all that together. But yes, so people can get an opportunity to have a little holiday cheer come
Amazing.
straight to their doorstep.
Fantastic. I mean, what a wonderful, this has been such a lovely experience. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so happy to. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I had an interview series called Smart Cookies with Jenny Tooley. We ate cookies and drank tea, and I talked to amazing women. So, welcome to Smart Cookies. It's just a little different. And I appreciate your time so much.